Look, I was down on my back. They never thought I would last. I didn't run out of gas. I'm giving all that I can. They didn't know I'm the one. Stand my ground when they thought I would run. Beat me down when they thought I was done. Beating death like the sound of my drum. Feel like I can go do what I want. Hey, liberated. Liberated, man, I come from the worst generation. Overcame all the worst type of situations.
Welcome to Gear 5 Productions. Kane here, Captain of the Day's Pirates, and we are coming at you with a green purple Luffy gameplay video today. This deck is gonna be an absolute menace in the new format in EB02. It does come out in EB02. We will get into exactly what the leader does in just a moment here, but we will be running through a handful of games and kind of overall what the deck list and leader is trying to do. So it is a green-purple leader, 5,000 power, and it has a activate main once per turn, Don -2. If you only control Straw Hat type characters, your leader gets plus 1,000 till the end of your next turn, or your opponent's next turn, and you also get to stand up 2 of your Don. So you -2 Don, but reactivate 2 Don. So kind of marrying that green and purple kind of combination overall. With that, obviously the characters that are played in this deck are all Straw Hats based, and then some of the events are able to stray outside of that to whatever degree that you want to. We are going to just straight address this off the bat. The entirety of this deck and how good it feels to play is very much driven by Sanji and Pudding. This is also within EB02, a 5 cost. On play, if you have less down than your opponent, you just draw a card. Then also once per turn, if you -2 down, you get to return 1 down. So obviously working directly with the leader effect, it's a 5,000 7K character, so very efficient and very, very rewarding when you do get an opportunity to use multiple in a row. Beyond that, the early kind of consensus about this deck is if you see Sanji and Pudding, the deck is phenomenal. If you don't see Sanji and Pudding, the deck is kind of, and that's just kind of where people are with it at this time. And based on that, there's a lot of searching built into it. There's a new green Nami searcher that allows you to go for Straw Hats. Zoro does only allow you to get purple Straw Hats, but that does include Sanji and Pudding, as well as many other 2K targets and things that are in your deck. This new Rush EB02 Secret Luffy is also kind of a signpost of this new deck. 7K Rush. You can, once per turn, when he attacks, -2 active down specifically to restand the character and give them an additional attack. And then the entire deck is kind of fortified by your 2Ks being just good Straw Hats, Nico Robin being a new good blocker that on KO Don -1 lets you look at the top 3, 4 Straw Hat types. So just good filtering and defensive opportunity. Obviously, you're playing Gum Gum Giant because you're playing a purple Straw Hat deck. And then this new stage is also allowing the deck to have some resilience into removal and some of the things that normally would be able to check a 5 cost character pretty effectively. This Going Merry stage on play allows you to draw a card, and then if you have less down than your opponent, you can activate it, resting it, and giving a character +2 cost until the end of your opponent's next turn. So making Sanji and putting into a functional 7 cost for sake of any removal checks, which is pretty good. And then just for my personal spice, I'm gonna, spoiler alert, skip ahead 10 seconds if you want to, dodge this. Doesn't come up in the games today, but I do really like just kind of like one Zoro, just because it's a green Straw Hat that we are able to play. If you do get to kind of just get to that top end, slam it. You then do also have opportunities to play things like this 3 cost +6K buff to kind of play through a finisher with one of these two. And then this green Zoro is also just a nice little tempo piece that can swing into characters if your opponents have 2 or more characters. Like it has rush kinda, and then on play, you can rest a 4 or less. And then they do play the Straw Hat Searcher event as well, because yet again, The entire deck is kind of predicated and built around and wants to find the Sanji and Pudding. So with that, let's go ahead and just jump into some games. So we can go ahead and get rolling here. We got some unique matchups, and I kind of liked that, so I just kind of rolled with it. Overall, didn't really want to, I don't know, kind of fight it too much. So we did hit a Cesear here, which is interesting because it is a removal-based deck that also does not really get beat by our stage overall, right? Right. I had to make a quick adjustment to the cam there. Here we are into a Cesear matchup again. I did end up grabbing a stage here because he is a red-blue leader, so there are opportunities for things like a gravity blade or any other kind of bottom decking and blue mechanics. I know that this deck overall is more red removal based in general, like power reduction based. But that being said, still cycles a card and kind of wards off against any potential grav blades or anything like that. My hand here, though, does already kind of have two Sanji and Puddings, which is a pretty good shape, exactly what you want to see with this deck. The sequencing here is pretty interesting with like how you want to pressure. In this case, I am wanting to play out this green Zoro for sake of getting their Monet off board, because Monet is just very synergistic with this leader. Obviously, it's kind of built for Cesear Clown. And then from here, I'm gonna be very much slamming Sanji and Puddings and using leader effect for the next few turns. Play Sanji and Pudding, utilize that leader effect to -2, get 2 Don back, and then 1 back. So we were to play a 5 cost, and now we already are back up to 5 Don active, which is nice, obviously. Swing for 6. At this point, I have some counter, but I am a little bit concerned with how bricked up my hand is. So I do elect to play out the 4-cost Zoro. I think the 4-cost Zoro Searcher is pretty good, but I don't personally love it, being only purple Straw Hats, and I know the whole deck is all about getting your Sanji and Puddings, but I don't know, being a brick in a 6K, it works, so I don't know, maybe 2, maybe 3 is still good. I did have 3 in this list. Overall, he's kind of seeing a lot of what he wants to see. He has a Smiley, he's had 2 Monets, he is cycling through and removing my stuff. So this is very much what a Cesear Clown is looking to do. So I was, a little concerned going into these later turns. Doing my math here about exactly how I want to swing, what leader effect, the implications of the leader effect. This leader effect does make math very interesting, so you got to kind of slow down and think about how you're playing things out, what Don's going to be available to you, if you're playing through a giant, yada yada. The electrical Luna here is, I believe it was kind of like an addition to the Japanese meta. It wasn't in some of the early lists of GP Luffy, but it's a very strong card. Just searching up a 6-cost Rush Luffy here kind of rounds out my kind of aggression over the next couple turns. And I do get to leave open a Gum Gum Giant. Mine just gets to zero out one of my characters, slam the Monet, get to cycle through and remove my Sanji and Pudding again, and check into my Zoro, which is quite good. 6 into 6, we just 1k out of that. 6 into 6. Maybe would have been better to keep the blocker because I'm not going to probably play the green Sanji anyways, but either way, they're 2Ks. I'm not really looking to play either one this next turn. This ended up being the turn that I find lethal. was debating exactly how I want to go about it. I went with the 6. They give me the 2. Play the... Oh no, I do end up stalling here. I do elect to just freeze the board, play through my Gum Gum Giant, and swing 7 twice here. And just like, again, I only froze 2 6K swings, but I froze 2 6K swings with that, and that gives me kind of the reach to play through these next turn or two. Oh no, okay. He does go to pressure in. Oh, he just straight removes it, right? Time marker. So I'm thinking here, the SEC Luffy is in range to be removed by Caesar. So I do kind of want to keep my Zoro because no matter what, my Luffy is going. But I don't really have the resources to do so, so I kind of just have to let it go. Swings very hard at me and finishes off my Luffy. I do just take that, get a Robin, and a Going Merry. I'm wondering like how defensive or like what I should really be doing with this turn. I do elect to just draw a card first, then I elect to use my searching event. I find the Rush Luffy, and at this point I do believe I find a lethal opportunity because I can go 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. Yeah. Or no, do I go 6, 8, 8? Yeah. So I am planning to activate the Luffy effect. 777 I think works just the same, but at this point I do decide to go 8, and I activate that effect to get an additional attack and finish him off there. Pretty fun game. I know not kind of the highest tier meta deck, but these were the matches that I was hitting on the ranked ladder, and I want to kind of show you guys some of them. This Vegapunk game was pretty interesting as well. Obviously Vegapunk's a little bit of a... It's weird because it only has 2 life, but it's kind of a slower paced deck. Like, I know we're the RP Luffy channel, so like we play 3 life and we go by super fast, but somehow Vegapunk lasts longer at 2 because of that healing effect and the way the deck runs. But overall, we're just cycling through, looking for our Sanjis and Puddings. We're hitting them, which is exactly what we want to do. That is one of the things too with like a deck like this is like I don't know. I'm not like I don't try to like overly harp on like, oh, a deck can carry you through an event, or oh, I play RP Luffy, or, you know, like whatever, like about like skill and playing best deck versus not. But like this is a deck that like relatively speaking, if you see your pieces, you slow down and play your sequencing correct, it's gonna be very rewarding when it hits. Right, that's the thing is if you're seeing those Sanji and Puddings, you're seeing 2, 3, 4 of them every game. It's gonna feel like one of the most dominating decks in the meta, and that's kind of what's carried it to this point. And that's just not even from me. I mean, more experienced Japanese players have said that, Kai, others. So that's where I'm taking that information from. But yeah, overall, these first few turns they are kind of doing their thing, playing through a couple Liliths, an Edison. I do have to take some consideration into checking their board. That's one of the things with a Vegapunk deck overall. They are one of those leaders that are not able to attack, so pressuring their board is more rewarding than leaders that can attack in some ways, in many ways. So there's some heavy consideration for that. But overall, once you get 2 Sanji and Puddings on board, your leader effect becomes free, and it just feels extremely powerful. We get to play out a Robin, have that defensive flexibility available. We're still at 3 life, so we're feeling great about that. There does come a point in this game where I do miss sequence with my leader effect, and it almost cost me the game. And I almost just kind of like rage quit, honestly. And that's like another kind of lesson here of just like sticking it out, making your opponent finish it out, making sure like I really did very nearly say, all right, we're not putting this on channel, blah blah blah, and just scooping. But we ended up playing through it, and we did end up winning despite that misplay. So it'll be very apparent when that comes up, but we'll talk about it. Now he can just swing so wide at me, but I still have 3 life. I'm gonna spend a little bit of time thinking. I'm not trying to like skip ahead through everything, but I'm not doing anything here. This isn't even double speed, so I'm not even trying to be a jerk. 6. He does end up going 6/6. We 1K with the Robin. Take getting a rush Luffy, which is phenomenal from this position. He does play over. That's what it was. Okay, he plays over one of the Liliths with this Nami, trashes Derishishishi, and KOs my Sanji and Pudding that is 5 cost, not 7. So again, where that stage can be pretty crucial here. Obviously, I have 2 Sanjis. I can only protect one with 1 stage, but going forward, right, Nami can't check this Sanji and Pudding unless I do leave her available to do that, and I don't use that effect. At this point, I'm considering pretty heavy. This is where the misplay comes in, right? Is I'm trying to play with this Usohachi, and I end up using leader effect before Usohachi, and then they are not. I am not over 8 Don, so Usohachi does nothing. So that becomes a problem. They did play the Rayquaza into life, so yet again, if Shaka dies, and I let that Rayquaza trigger, he gets that blocker back. So he gets 2 for 1 blockers with his life. That's where now I'm thinking pretty hard. I think I have 8 Don initially here, yep. So then I play out the 6 cost Luffy, activate the Usohachi, and it does nothing. And I'm like, oh crap, I think I just lost, maybe. And I'm like, okay, well, that's awful. So my redemption here is that I just kind of have to continue to press in the best I can and let him get his value now. At this point, I've blown my effect, and I just don't get the opportunity to, force him into a bad position or force a win there. Had I just realistically, had I just played Usohachi and donned up my leader and Sanji, it would have been a win. But I got Trixie for no reason. So it's one of those things where just kind of slow down. If I'm at 8 Don there, the cards they have in hand, I just rest the blocker, use leader effect after resting the blocker, and then cycle through with Sanji and Pudding and my leader to win the game. Cycle through is not the best choice of words there. Swing in with my leader and Sanji and Pudding. But now we do end up with a couple Gum Gum Giants, giving us the opportunity to kind of play through these last couple swings. I think he's pretty irritated when I use that last Gum Gum Giant. But too bad. So sad. On to Shanks. So, just a great handful of searching. I said, you know what? I go first. I get to search 3 times or 4 times in my opening hand. Let's go ahead and find the Sanjis and Puddings and play through. In this matchup, the stage, again, is not the most relevant because they are a power reduction removal based deck. The cost is not as important to them at all, I think. I was trying to think if there's like anything at all, but I think really the cost is nothing. So we're free to cycle past those, and we just are, digging for our counter Sanjis and Puddings and Rush Luffy's. They do play that 3 cost Punk Hazard Sanji initially here. We are already online with our leader effect and Nico Robin off of that Sanji and Pudding. Again, next turn we're going to go to 6 Don, play a second Sanji and Pudding, and be able to start leader effect for free every single turn going forward. This is a matchup that obviously you'll expect to be able to see. Shanks has been massive over the past few weeks and in the current meta. So definitely we're expecting to see more of this deck. So this matchup was good to see play out. Having two Sanjis already on board, Sanji and Puddings on board already is phenomenal. Great position for me overall. But we go from there. Here, I'm thinking I'll get a 2K, but I say, you know what? Third Sanji and Pudding. Now our leader effect ramps us. Get one more opportunity search and get a 2K off of that one. Instead of the giant, just because I am a tiny bit vulnerable if they do like hard pressure this turn with a dragon or some other rush pressure. Rayleigh comes in, minuses. I was surprised here if they swung at my life and not at my Sanji. Sanji and Pudding, rather. I think that would have been more correct. Especially when it's 6 into 6. And they didn't even swing leader into Sanji either. Yeah, I didn't really realize this initially, but they -2'd the Sanji to 5. It should have been 6, 6, or maybe just start with leader, get a 1 out of me, maybe 6. Like I would have pressured the Sanji and Pudding over into my 6K leader that turn. I didn't really clock that when I was playing the game. But now, like, we're basically cheating, it feels like. We get to search, play a rush character, or another searcher, swing, have giant open, don't have giant open. Like, the world is our oyster at this point. There is some consideration to swinging into the Sanjis, because obviously they offer pressure back into me. But maybe it's just my RP Luffy mindset, my aggression a little bit. But I just kind of said, I don't want to give them the cards. Let's just keep pressuring, keep pushing. And I guess that really could have come back to bite me. Maybe. Oh, I do check one of them, so okay, maybe I'm not crazy. Oh, okay, I do end up checking both of them. I just don't want to commit big swings, I guess. I don't know. I was thinking that I didn't remove them for some reason. So it could have come back to bite me over the next couple turns. I just left them on board, didn't prioritize that. And that's probably why I didn't play the 6 cost Luffy that turn, is I did decide to check board and play out the searcher and leave open the giant and play through the next turn or two. Now he's at 10 and has a whole lot to think about. He just starts with the 7. I 2K out of that. 9 into 7. We do giant out of that. And then he Beckmans the 6K. So again, we're just on cloud 9 here. Having the opportunity to develop the 6 cost at this point and just continue swinging 7s all day long. I'm breaking down the math of how this all works because I have 8. If I play a 6 cost, I have 2 left. Then I leader effect. I then have 7 active again. I could actually play both of those 6 costs. I don't remember if I do this turn or not. But I do want to check with the 7s to start because I want to get that leader effect out, which I did. So I'm debating, do I put Don on the Sanji and Pudding? I don't think so. Just take 2 cards at this point. Yeah, again, at this point, I guess I do end up pushing 8. Activate. We get to go +3 Don. And I guess I just don't commit to the playing of the Luffy other 6 costs. I just cycle a card and get to pressure harder, which is also very, very good. Luna here is not the most helpful because those are because Rayleigh is the only rested character, and that is 8 cost. Luna only freezes 7 cost or less. Yeah, so we end up going 7, getting the leader effect, 7 again, 8, 8, 8. And then we have a whole nother Rush Luffy, and the one that we currently have, really both of them can swing twice if the game so calls for it. I do think this is also going to be a great tool for RP Luffy, but that's not what this video is about, right? We'll have to come back to that. But now he does continue to push my face, and oh, did not mean to close that out. Oh, there we go. I just take the 8 because I don't really care. Like I just win here, right? Like I'm not really concerned. He's pressuring my face. The reason I'm not like rushing to counter those first couple swings because I don't want to starve myself. If he did turn on my board, that could be detrimental at that point. But he had a couple K counter left. But yeah, I was basically just cleared up at that point. So overall, deck's feeling pretty dang good. And I think there's some tweaks. Like I think this 3 cost event and the Zoro maybe not be the most optimal opportunities or the most optimal inclusions in the deck rather. If you have a great GP Luffy list, hit the Days Pirates Discord link down below. If you're going to be playing GP Luffy, hit the comments up. I want to know if you want to see more GP gameplay. If you have a list for GP you want me to test, again hit the Discord. I appreciate everyone checking it out. Kane out, Captain of the Days Pirates. Thank you guys again for tuning in.